Yaron Weitzman covers the NBA for Bleacher Report. He's the author of the book Tanking to the Top, a book that I have finished, complete, done, excellent. Check it out there, broads, if you ever get the chance. If you're at your home, just rainy day, you know what I mean?
Maybe an audio style to it?
I listened to it.
I know you did. It was good.
Yep. Listened to it all the way through. I listened to it and read it at the same time. It was a little weird.
I feel like that's the way to do it. No, I must be out on the audio book game. People just listen to it and they don't read with it?
Yeah, I just got charged for my Audible
again
yesterday. I totally forgot to buy another book.
Josh, you owe him another $14.99.
The author is Yaron Weitzman. He's got a great piece up right now at Bleacher Report. Can the Sixers figure out who they are? Yaron, welcome back. And I guess maybe of all the teams, they might be the most interesting, and that might be the most intriguing question in the NBA restart.
Sure, but if we want, we can just, I can hang out and you can talk more about how good I am at reading a audio book and how great the book was. We can just sit back for 10 minutes and do that. No, I find, I get asked a bunch, what do you think about this, that? And I keep saying I'm not even going to pretend to prognosticate or predict anything we're about to see here for a host of reasons, right? And you drive yourself into circles thinking, the Sixers are a great example. They're really good at home. There are no home games, but there are no road games, so maybe that benefits them. And what do you do with that, right? But yeah, I would say they are one of the most intriguing teams, and it seems like they're willing to make some. I guess the answer with them is we know they're talented, and they clearly use those 4 months to self-assess. And if you're good, you take those two things, and maybe some changes can come through. Then yeah, there would seem to be a higher ceiling for them than any other 6 seed.
What do you make of Brett Brown, the team, the team putting out videos of Ben Simmons shooting threes, Brett Brown saying he shot more threes in the bubble than he did all season in practice, and really them moving positions for him? What do you make of this whole Ben Simmons restarted version?
Yeah, it's interesting. A couple things. One, the shooting thing, I'll believe when I see it in games. Yeah, we've been down this road before. Even as last summer, the Chris Johnson, the trainer videos of Simmons shooting. Anyone who's been to Sixers pre games know that he can shoot. It's not beautiful, but he can hit shots. It's there. He's worked on it. This was last year too. He'd work on it with Monty Williams for 4 games. Other shooting coaches, his half brother, who's no longer there. So this happened before. I am dubious about the shooting. I don't expect to see it, but maybe this will be it. Maybe no fans being there, that will be the thing. I just think it's been very clear that Simmons is not interested in shooting, and it almost seems like the more people ask or talk about it, the more that makes him not want to shoot, right? I mean, that was I had a quote from him in the story today in responding to, Brett Brown's comment about tell his agent, tell his brother, I want to see a shot every game and 3 every game, and Simmons responded by not taking another 3 the rest of the season, right? So that the position change is interesting. Again, I think it got overplayed a little bit, and this might have been Brown, overstating something in a press conference as opposed to what he actually meant, or not selling the idea properly. Simmons, he's still, and people know this, he's still going to play point guard. He's going to be the backup point guard, or get the point guard minutes with that second lineup. The ball's going to be in his hands plenty. If with the primary group, though, they're going to do half-court stuff with him off the ball more, I don't know. I'm intrigued by that. I think that's a great use for him, and I think that gives you a little more flexibility to figure out a way to answer sort of the million-dollar question with the Sixers, which is how can we figure out a way for these 2 stars who have clashing skills to coexist in a way where we can win a championship.
So that leads me down this road. What should we expect from Shake Milton?
So Derek Bodner at The Athletic had a great piece where he went through Shake's catch and shoot numbers going back to college, and they were really impressive and always going over 40. And to me, that would be, there are 2 things you're looking for. You're looking for the space, the shooting, and the gravity that comes off shooting, right? That's always the big difference. And Horford's a great example of this where, and I know this year he shot poorly, but even in years past in Boston when he would shoot 37% or whatever from 3, he's shooting 37%, but defenses aren't chasing him out there. He's not carrying gravity. He's not spacing the floor. He'll hit one, he'll miss one. He's not taking 8 threes. A guy like Milton is a guy who can spread the floor and actually there's gravity with him, and defenses are going to have to stick with him and account for him on all possessions. And that's huge because again, it's a question: how do we unlock space? How do we spread the floor horizontally and vertically for these guys to operate? So that's one. The other part is it does. Milton, I think, because he can shoot, he can shoot off the dribble a little bit, because he's comfortable in the pick and roll, it'll be good for the Sixers to have that option and to have Simmons be able to roll off of Milton in a way and give him more creativity. But I guess the counter is I'm a little dubious about a team. Last year they had Jimmy Butler, and that carried them in the playoffs on offense, right? And can a team with Shake Milton and Josh Richardson as their primary backcourt, can that be a championship team? I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yaron Weitzman, Bleacher Report. All right, so Al Horford, they put him on the bench for a game. They looked pretty good in that game, and then injuries forced them to have to kind of bring him back. Now they're going to put him back on the bench. What is Al Horford's role, and is the best role for him to play limited minutes?
So the answer, it's impressive that they did this. That it's hard. It was obvious that Horford needs to move to the bench, right? I think you guys would agree, right? You guys watch as many Sixers games.
Yeah. Yep.
The short answer is any minute, he should be on the floor whenever Embiid's not. That's answer number one, right? Like that's automatic. And those lineups with Simmons and Horford and Tybal and Harris, those are fast 5-out lineups, really good D. Those are good lineups too. I found it interesting that Brown said the other day that they hadn't worked at all with Horford and Embiid. And that's going to be the part is he's saying he wants to play Embiid 38 minutes a game. Horford will obviously get the 10 that Embiid's not on the floor, but is that going to be it? Right? I can't imagine. I can't imagine there's a way to figure it out. But maybe it is closer to 20 minutes a game. And the crazy part is that might be the best move for the Sixers, which, that's a different conversation in terms of about how you move forward from a cap perspective and roster flexibility. But in terms of just these 2 months ahead of us right now, the answer probably is just 20 minutes, here.
Right. And they essentially, you mentioned Butler. They essentially swapped out Butler and brought Horford in, and they thought they were getting this guy who was they're a leader. And Horford was really the guy that, was their Achilles heel against Boston. They couldn't figure out a way to stop him, and so it's you can't beat him, join us, and they haven't figured out what to do with him.
No, for sure. And part of it, so I know, the idea that Embiid, they kind of assumed Embiid would be out 20-plus games, right, in the regular season, and Horford would be the backup there. It was definitely to make sure, in the playoffs, and I don't remember the numbers, but they were pretty drastic in terms of how the team, the plus-minus when Embiid stepped off the floor. So you figure you plug that. I also think they believe that Horford, and last year he defended Giannis as effectively as anyone. I think they were looking at that. So again, you could see that's why they're such a fascinating team, right? We bring up all these issues, and yet here we are. We're going to enter the playoffs, and you could see a way where 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks, talking about, oh wow, the Sixers are really lucky they have Al Horford. That's making a big difference.
Someone who flies under the radar throughout all this is Josh Richardson, and I just wonder, is he going to turn into more of a catch-and-shoot type of two-guard throughout this change?
That's a good question. He's a good example of what we were talking about also in terms of the gravity. He's a good shooter. His numbers are good, right? He's not JJ Redick, and obviously nobody is, but I think I think sometimes when you apply the straight numbers percentage-wise, and you can think, oh, this is pretty close, and it's a different game, right? There's a difference between the guy who's going to take 5 and the guy who can take 10, right? It's going to fire no matter what. The Sixers, Richardson's good. I think they thought he'd be a little better off the dribble and initiating offense and running the point. I don't even necessarily mean literally, though I think that was part of the plan. It just kind of feels like he's the odd man on offense. They're going to, I don't know, what was your question? They're going to rely on him? Is that what your question was? Or is he going to be a spot-up shooter? I guess if Simmons is off the ball, that does open more room, and it does allow somebody like Josh Richardson to fit or gel in a way that's to play in a way that fits his skill set.
All right, Yaron Weitzman, Sixers tomorrow, 3:30, right here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll have the scrimmage matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, Joel Embiid, we haven't even gotten to him yet, and you wonder how if you look at the championship team, are you more it's Ben Simmons that has to be the guy, or are you it's got to be Joel Embiid?
That's a good question. Yes. No. Embiid's health is the biggest thing, right? And I think we forget this, that in the 2 postseasons, he has not been healthy, right? It was the face, and he was a little out of shape from that when against Miami. Last year, Toronto was tendonitis and the stomach stuff. He's also struggled a little bit just playing in the second round against teams. So it was against Aaron Baines. And, when teams have centers who he can't overpower, so like an Aaron Baines, like a Marc Gasol, and the teams that are smart defensively and can trap him and mask things in a way that force him to beat them with a double team, and that is not his strong suit. He's struggled so far. That said, he's also like when he's healthy and he's in shape and locked in, he can be the best player on the floor, no matter who they play. Right? We've seen that before.
No
like
doubt.
we saw that again. We've seen that game against the Bucks, to be honest, right, where he's the best player on the floor, Embiid. So I guess the answer would be like, yeah, if you have that guy, you have an MVP level guy. Yes, that's the recipe for a championship in the NBA, right? So I think that would be step one. The Simmons thing. Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to be fascinating to see what this looks like. I've always been a believer that it's an issue, the shooting. It's not something that we overblow. It doesn't mean that he's not fantastic. He is. He's great defensively. He's a great all-around player. He brings it every night, which I think we underrate sometimes. Effort is never an issue with him. But the shooting, again, when you get deeper in the playoffs, just when you have these glaring weaknesses or holes that smart defenses can exploit and use to then cover up other things, or double other guys, it becomes problematic. So I think, and that's when we go back to Brett Brown. That's where it's kind of on him to figure out a way to turn Simmons into a weapon on offense as opposed to a deficiency.
This team has really tried to hammer home the message that they were built for the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you look at this roster and agree with them?
I don't necessarily agree. I know they truly believe it, right? So I guess we'll see. The other thing is, I don't know, we're going to judge it based on this mess we're about to see. It'll be fun. I don't know. It's, what we see in these next 2 months, I don't know what lessons those teach us. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does resemble, regular playoff basketball in a way that would be surprising. I disagree. I still think you need, and a lot of people around the league think this, right? And a lot of people were puzzled by the moves, even though Jimmy Butler is everything that Jimmy Butler is. But I still think you need that guy, the perimeter shot creator, right? The guy you can kind of 5 minutes left in the game, close game, who you can give the ball to. I guess it's going to try to be Embiid. Embiid wants it to be him. He's yet to do it. We'll see. It's hard to do that in the post with today's defense, especially if you're not a passer, right? Especially if you're not and even if you are a passer, right? That means they're going to double you and you're going to force other guys to hit the shots. So I still would have thought if it was me, that's what I would have leaned in that direction. But I guess we'll see.
It all starts back tomorrow for the Sixers, and then they open up the restart on August 1st against the Pacers. Yaron Weitzman covers the NBA for Bleacher Report. He's the author of Tanking to the Top, the Sixers, and the most arduous process in the history of professional sports. I suggest you pick up your copy and read it now. It's a very good, easy read. Yaron, we appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, guys. Always happy to come on. Hope you guys are doing well.